Hi everybody, welcome back to our Google Hangouts on Air. This is our second Hangout that we're having for our Black History Month series, and this time we're going to be talking to Googlers in non-technical roles. So to start off, we can introduce ourselves, and since this includes me, I can talk too. So I'm Britton, you saw me yesterday with our engineers, and I'm actually working on the People Operations Communications team. And we're going to start and go around and everyone can introduce themselves. So I have a guest sitting right next to me, so she can start us off.
Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda. I'm the Director of Global Diversity and Inclusion at Google, as well as Talent and Outreach Program, which is basically a fancy way of saying my team helps to hire a lot of new grads coming into Google around the world.
My name is Taupe. I also work in People Operations. I work on our central staffing team, and I work on helping advertise our jobs online.
Nice. And feel free to say where you went to school also.
So, I'm a Stanford graduate.
I'm Villanova undergrad, Stanford graduate school.
Okay, Elena, you can go again.
Hi, my name is Elena. I attended the University of Central Florida, and I have been at Google for almost 3 years now, and I am on the benefits team, specifically working on our wellness centers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Spivey. I graduated from Hampton University, and I work on the offer view team. So my team deals with a lot of the hiring here at Google.
Hi everyone, my name is Jana Landon. I graduated from Dartmouth a couple months ago in June, and now I'm on the university programs team. So I do a lot of the programs on campuses and help with hiring new grads.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. And right now we saw on the blog, we heard about Yolanda and Jana's path to Google. So how about the rest of you tell us what really got you into Google? What was your path? How did you end up in the tech industry? And Elena, you can start.
Sure. So I got to Google by being a bold intern. I was currently at an internship that I did not like at all, so I randomly searched on Google and found the Bold Internship Program in 2008. So I did that the summer of 2008, and then I was hired on full-time in 2009.
And I started at Google about a year after I graduated from college. I was looking for jobs that involved media. And I actually saw a job posted on a job board, and I applied, and I actually started out as a temp in our online sales department, working with the AdWords product. So I've had a number of different jobs since then, both in sales, and then I transferred to People Operations about 2.5 years ago. So my path has been kind of long and winding, but I'm really happy where I am now.
Great. Rachel?
Yeah, I graduated, well, Google came to my campus in 2008. I came to Hampton's campus, and that was my first introduction to Google, and I really love it. I fell in love with just the atmosphere here and the environment, and then I ended up coming to Google about a year later, and I started in the same role I'm in now. So I've been at Google almost 2 years.
Nice. As for me, in 2008, my friend convinced me to try this internship called the Bold Internship that Google had just launched. And having never thought that I was that interested in technology, I applied for it anyway. And I ended up on the Global University Programs team and realized just how much fun the tech industry is, how fast it moves, all the challenges that are unique to the tech industry, and basically the impact that technology is making on the world, which I find to be really interesting. And after my internship, I had a job offer and went and did a fellowship in South Africa under my university's name for a year, and then I came back to Google. And since then, I've been a rotational associate, first working with the HR team at YouTube, and now I'm on the People Operations Communications team. So a lot of us really talked about the Bold Internship Program. A lot of us had our start there. So it would be great if we could talk a little bit about Bold and your experience being an intern, and basically what you've learned being an intern and how it's changed since you've been here as a full-timer. Elena, do you want to start us off?
Sure, I will start again. So my experience being a Bold intern was completely different than being a full-time employee. One of the main reasons being that I interned in Ann Arbor, which is one of our smaller offices, and I started on the sales training team. So basically, I was tasked with training our sales employees and getting them ramped up to start their jobs. And then when I was hired on full-time, I became a rotational associate as well within our HR organization. And then I started in sales HR. But Bold really helped me in the transition from being an intern into being a full-time employee. It really, taught me the organizational skills that I needed. It taught me how to network with my teammates, how to ramp up quickly in my job. So it was a very valuable experience, and I wouldn't trade it, and it was my key to get in the door here at Google. So very appreciative of that program.
Nice.
So I actually talked a lot about Bold in the blog, but it's an amazing program, and it's why I came back. I really enjoyed my summer and the work I was doing. Something maybe I didn't talk about in the blog was also the mentorship component to Bold. So I'm actually sitting right next to my mentor from that summer. Rachel was a great mentor, and it's nice to have someone who's not too far in age away from you to help you out and really help you navigate as an intern. And it goes beyond professional advice. One weekend we went to the beach because I hadn't been to the beach out here. So it helped to definitely have a network of professionals, but also friends when I got out here.
Nice. And at Google, we have employee resource groups, one of them being the Black Googlers Network, or BGN. And I know a lot of us have had positive experiences being a part of BGN. So, Tolu, can you start us off telling us a little bit about BGN and your experience with BGN?
Yeah, so I was actually here when BGN started. It's probably about 5 years ago. And we were, at the time, some of the other Black Googlers and I were just kind of looking for a way where we could do more outreach in terms of recruiting students from historically Black colleges and universities, and helping to build a more diverse workforce. So we started the employee resource group BGN, and so we did a lot of work around outreach, but then also just around community building within Google. It's the tech industry doesn't have a high representation of African Americans or Blacks, so it was a great way to network, to bond with one another. So we do social events, but then we've also done service events as well. And one of my favorite events is the New Orleans trips that we've done. So I got to go to New Orleans on a community service trip in 2010, where we spent a few days doing various projects in the lower Ninth Ward, working with different educational groups. And it was just a really rewarding experience, a way to give back, first of all, and then also just to bond with colleagues in different departments. That's one of the great things about BGN, is that at Google sometimes you tend to be a little bit siloed in terms of having your set of colleagues in your department. But BGN was a great way to network with other Black Googlers, in different departments, and then also in different offices as well.
Awesome. And Rachel, I know you've been active in BGN also. Can you tell us about some of your experiences being a part of BGN?
Sure. So BGN has been great. I've seen it grow tremendously since I've come to Google about 2 years ago, especially during Black History Month. We've been very active. We've had tons and tons of events, from political speakers, academic speakers, musicians come. We've had, we even incorporated Black History Month into our culinary cuisine for the month. We did culinary internships. We've had a step show. We've done just a lot of different things that have been really fun, and I think it's a great atmosphere, and I really appreciate the fact that Google is so supportive of us doing all these events in the name of the Black Googlers Network, and it's just been great being here, and really the support the company I've seen through the ERGs, which are the employee resource groups.
Great. Well, a lot of people are interested in career development once they get a job. And Yolanda, I know that you have great experience with this. So can you talk a little bit about career development at Google and just in general?
Absolutely. I think one of the nice things about Google is that you can really write your own career path. And I think listening sort of to Tolu's story around how he got to people operations, how he started in sales and then got to people ops is a great example. For those of you who read my blog post, you'll know that I started my career in a fairly structured environment, so investment banking and management consulting, which are very clear career paths, it's sort of an upper out mentality, but not a lot of sort of variance in the different paths that you can take. Google is sort of on the complete opposite end of the spectrum there, and it's really about sort of where your interest is. So on my team, I've had a number of people come over here from sales, and sometimes during recruiting, I have a fellow on my diversity team who does business development work around diversity. So he goes and helps to bring more minority-owned businesses online and then gives them the tools to grow their businesses. I've seen people who've left people ops and gone into product marketing and join their sort of entry-level product marketing program. So it's really about where your interest is and there's lots of opportunities to try out new things. So we have this concept of 20%, and I know we get folks from finance volunteering for like different K-12 activities on my team who want to sort of try it out before they actually make a step. But there's lots and lots of freedom. There isn't a structured path. It's really what you make of it. And I feel like my career is sort of testament to that. I started as an individual contributor, ran a central staffing business, and now have a fairly varied portfolio of things that I'm responsible for now. But it's really what you make of it.
So one thing that I know people would love to hear from you is basically all of you. How did you get interested in the technology industry having not been a computer science major? This is something that is very interesting because for myself, I didn't even know that you could work in the tech industry without doing computer science or engineering. But there are a lot of people who are potentially really interested in things like working at Google or working in the tech industry that may not know that you can do it without being a computer scientist. So Tolu, can you start and tell us basically what attracted you either to Google or the tech industry, even if you weren't planning on being a software engineer?
Yeah, similar to you, I didn't know that Google hired non-engineers, and so when I first saw the job opening for someone in kind of online sales support, I was like, wow, I didn't know Google had that kind of offering. I grew up in Silicon Valley, so the tech industry has always sort of been there. But to be honest, I never expected to have a job at an internet-focused company like Google growing up. But throughout college, I had always paid attention to it. I've always been interested in personal technology and in communication and new media. So I think in looking for jobs in Silicon Valley, you sort of couldn't help but come across jobs from big technology companies like Google at the time. So it was a natural fit for me because I was able to find a job that matched my skills, but then also my interests in a place like Google. And one thing I'll say is that even for those of us who aren't engineers or who aren't intimately involved with products, you still get really involved in all of our products and all of our releases that come out. And just being here, there's an energy around it, and you really get the sense of, your work is contributing to the products that we offer and to building the teams that are going to build those products.
Mm-hmm. And just to add on to that, for those of you out there who may be interested in law or communications or marketing or even philanthropy, the tech industry has all of this. You just may not realize it, and a lot of it you can do within a big company. And an example of that would be that I do communications, but within Google. We have marketing teams here, we have lawyers here, we have so many different parts of different industries all within the tech industry. So you don't necessarily have to be an engineer to get inside the tech industry or inside Google. Jana, do you want to talk a little bit just going along with this, things that you find interesting in the tech industry or how you got here?
Sure. So similar to what a lot of people have said, Google came to Dartmouth campus and delivered a presentation, and that's when I really realized that even though I'm not an engineering person or a CS person, that of course technology applies to me. Like, technology is a part of all of our lives. Some examples that were given in the presentation that really stood out to me was the ways that Google, for instance, used its search algorithm to connect families in times of crisis around the world. It was clear to me that it's so much bigger than a search engine that we almost automatically go to find out whatever we need, but that they're doing things all over the world, and that it was really inspirational because it was a chance for me to be a part of that and just this broader mission of using technology to make the world a better place.
Great. Rachel, do you want to add to that?
Sure. I think what's funny is I was actually a marketing major in school, but when I thought about Google, I didn't really think of it as a tech company. I thought of it as an innovation company. I've seen like Google take its knowledge and its intellectual capital and just solve the world's problems, not just quote-unquote tech problems. So that's what I kind of viewed it as, and I just wanted to be a place where innovation was thriving and people weren't afraid to make mistakes and people weren't afraid to try things and, you know, put their foot out there. So that's what kind of attracted me to Google.
Yeah. Elena, how about you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, like Rachel, I was also a marketing major, and Google actually didn't come to my campus at all to recruit, but I do remember one of my professors using Google as an example of a company that did non-traditional marketing, and so I automatically thought to myself, like, they have to be onto something if they're not using the traditional way to do things. So that kind of piqued my interest a little bit, and, you know, with further research, I really found out that Google was very innovative and fast-paced, and I think that's what I love about the tech industry and working within tech is that things move so quickly, and we're on the brink of everything. When you think about it, tech touches everything. So I think whatever you're passionate about, you can somehow map it back to technology, and that's what I really like about, you know, working in tech.
And Yolanda, what is your experience then?
It's been really, really great. I think I had a similar experience to Tolu and Elena. That when I had decided I was ready for a new job, and I started looking at companies, Google didn't come to mind because I didn't think of it as I thought it was as an engineering company. I had a friend at the company I was working at who had a friend here, and she said, "You should look at Google. Google's hiring." And so I came in, I talked to her friend who ran business operations and people operations at the time. And the more people I talked to, the more excited I got. This was about 6 years ago now, and Google was at an interesting inflection point. It had about 5,000 or 6,000 people. There weren't a lot of people processes in place. They had really interesting people problems to solve. And when I thought about what I like to do, it was around it was solving big problems, and Google just brought to that from a technology point of view, and so it's been a tremendous learning experience. I often talk to new grads, sort of in my role around the kinds of opportunities that are available at a technology place like Google, and that you don't have to be an engineer to make a difference in the world. I think I look at sort of people operations, I look at sales, and we're making big impacts all the time.
And I think an interesting thing to talk about maybe is everybody, if they could just share their major. I heard that we have 2 people that did marketing, and the people that I've sat next to at work, I've sat next to someone who did film studies, I've sat next to someone who did anthropology, I sat next to someone who did Russian studies. So really there's so many things that you can do and still work here and use those interests. I studied sociology, and I think this is a natural fit because a lot of the work that we do involves people. And that's what sociology is. Mm-hmm. What was your undergrad major?
I was an economics major.
I was a communications major and a poli-sci minor. And one funny story, you were talking about all the different majors that you work with. My first manager majored in modern thought and literature.
Modern thought.
I was a psychology major, and I actually was pre-med when I first started out in school, so like so many of us. But I was coming at it from sticking with psychology for the medical point, but now I see a lot of relevant types of psychology like organizational change and behavior. But within my team, we have someone who's a German major, we have someone who is an art history major, econ major, just a bunch of different majors. I even met a poetry major who's in finance.
Wow.
I heard about a person who was recently hired at Google, and her major was persuasive speaking.
I didn't know that was a major.
I thought that was really interesting, the art of speaking in a persuasive manner. For those of you who are just joining us, this is our Hangout on Air for our Black History Month series, and we're going on to our last questions. This is something I'd like to ask everybody, which is, what is one of your favorite things about either working at Google or in this industry? It can be a moment that you had where you're like, huzzah, this is amazing, or just a general feeling. Yolanda, you look like you're pensive and thought.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, I think my favorite thing about Google is the people that I get to work with every day. I love my job. I love coming to work. I work with some of the smartest people in the world, I think, and I learn from something from them every single day. And at the end of the day, I think a company is only as good as its employees, and I think we have some of the best.
Great.
Yeah, somewhere on the people theme, one of my favorite perks that we have here is our speaker series. So it's called Google Talks, originally called Authors at Google, but then it expanded to musicians at Google, candidates at Google. So seeing some of those speakers come through, Barack Obama came back when he was Senator Obama in 2007. So seeing him speak was just a definite highlight, and some of the great authors and celebrities that we've had here, just come to, my place of work. It's just mind-boggling. So that's probably my favorite thing.
Great.
I would have to say, just piggybacking off what Yolanda said, definitely the people, one. And then I think the freedom to be creative and think of crazy ideas and not have people look at you like, what is she doing? But be supportive and really help you think through your crazy ideas. And if they make sense, go with them. If not, let's store them for later because they may make sense later. So I would just have to say the people and the ability to think creatively.
Yeah, I like the fact that impact can come from all levels at Google, that you could have been here for a couple of days, you could have been an intern, you could have been here for many years, and that it's an equal playing field for you to have an impact. And I talked a little bit about it in the blog, just being able to have a significant project as an intern, and just how it proves that you really can have an impact no matter your experience level here.
I think my favorite thing is the element of surprise. You never know what's going to happen at Google. You could wake up tomorrow and Trey Songz could be on campus riding a bike, and you just don't know. And you could go out in front of your cube and Ben and Jerry's could be there. You never know, or you could be going to Cirque du Soleil the next day. You just never know what could happen at your day at work, and that's something I really appreciate. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you excited to come back to work and say, like, what's going to happen next? So, yeah, definitely.
As cheesy as this sounds, I think my favorite part about working at Google is really the impact that we make everywhere. Even though I personally don't directly work on a specific product at Google, it really makes me happy to think every day that we're really changing how people use the internet and how the internet is being fed into people's lives. If it's helping people get on the internet to get their businesses promoted, or as we talked about before, using People Finder to find people in times of crisis like the tsunami in Japan or the earthquake in Haiti. There are so many things that our company does that has such a huge impact on the entire world, and I think that's amazing. I just love that. Well, we can ask our last question. What does Black History Month mean to you? You can start because you're right next to me.
Okay, thank you, Britton. For me, I was born in the 70s, actually 1970, and so I don't remember when I was in school learning a lot about the contributions that African Americans made to U.S. history. And it wasn't until I got older that I started to learn about like George Washington Carver, and I think the guy who invented the stoplight was actually an African American. And so to me, it's a way there's been a long and interesting history of sort of blacks in the U.S. And I think Black History Month to me is sort of a celebration of all the ways that Black Americans have contributed to that history, and how much they are a fabric of the U.S. story as the Italian immigrants, from the early 1900s. So to me, it's a celebration of all the great ways that blacks have contributed to the fabric of the U.S.
Yeah, for me, it's about setting examples for future generations. Just going over the history of all the different contributions that blacks have made. You realize, how brave it was for certain people to, break color barriers in a lot of different industries. And it is just a celebration of those who've come before us, and, and it makes me remember that, our generation now is going to set the example for the generation to come after us. So to me, it's just the continuation of a history that's ongoing.
For me, I would have to say it's a month of reflection. I think we hear the term, my black is 365, which is true. Like, you're black 365 days of the year. But for me, it's a time to really slow down and think about and reflect on our history, which will never change, and really look forward to where we're going to. As Tolu said, we're setting up initiatives and things for future generations. So it's really looking back and seeing what everyone who came before us went through, and then how we can aid in making it a better future for those who are coming.
Yep, I definitely feel as though Black History Month is a time for learning and also passing it on. So I think just growing up, it's probably a lot more learning, and I still, no matter how old I get, learn just something new every Black History Month about contributions to history. But also, as I've gotten older, it's about passing on that knowledge to other people. And so just even with these events we've been putting on at Google through BGN, it's been great to be able to just share and learn from other people.
I think for me, Black History Month is about celebration. It's celebrating where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going to in the future. It's just like a great time for recognition and to celebrate our culture, because it's amazing.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming today, and thank everybody who's watching. Remember, you can always go to www.google.com/students for our internship postings, our scholarships, and our full-time new grad positions, or google.com/jobs for our other full-time positions. And stay tuned to the Google Students Google Plus page for more fun things like this. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.